Imagine a scenario where a nation's highest officials are accused of running a drug cartel. That's precisely what's happening with Venezuela, as the U.S. has officially labeled Cartel de los Soles, Cartel of the Suns, a foreign terrorist organization, throwing an already tense situation into further turmoil. This is a dramatic escalation, but what does it really mean? On Monday, the United States took a significant step by formally designating Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO. This move isn't just symbolic. It unleashes a new wave of sanctions against the group, which the U.S. alleges includes Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and other prominent figures within his administration. Think of it as the U.S. government putting a giant red flag on anyone associated with this cartel, making it incredibly difficult for them to conduct international business or access financial systems. Venezuela, unsurprisingly, has vehemently denied these allegations. Government officials have dismissed the U.S. designation as ridiculous and the cartel itself as non-existent. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a legitimate effort to combat drug trafficking, or is it a thinly veiled attempt to destabilize the Venezuelan government and seize control of its vast oil reserves, as Maduro himself claims? Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated earlier last month that the U.S. would announce the FTO designation due to the cartel's alleged involvement in smuggling illegal drugs into the U.S. This accusation carries significant weight, potentially opening the door for further actions against Venezuela. And this is the part most people miss. While sanctions experts say the designation doesn't automatically authorize military action, the increased pressure and scrutiny create a climate where miscalculations or provocations could have serious consequences. Adding fuel to the fire, Maduro and his government have consistently denied any involvement in criminal activities. They accuse the U.S. of pursuing regime change driven by a desire to control Venezuela's oil wealth. According to Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil, this is just another infamous and vile lie to justify an illegitimate and illegal intervention against Venezuela. He insists that this new maneuver will fail, just like previous attempts to undermine his country. Interestingly, Reuters reported that the U.S. is preparing to launch a new phase of operations related to Venezuela. The exact timing and scope remain unclear, and it's uncertain whether President Trump has given the final go-ahead. However, the implication is that the U.S. is not backing down and may be considering further actions to increase pressure on the Maduro regime. The Treasury Department had previously designated Cartel de los Soles as a specially designated global terrorist. This earlier designation froze any U.S. assets linked to the cartel and generally prohibited Americans from conducting business with it. But the FTO designation takes things a step further, increasing the legal and political ramifications. However, some experts caution against oversimplifying the situation. Inside Crime, an organization that analyzes organized crime, points out that it's an oversimplification to portray Maduro as the sole leader of the cartel. They argue that it's more accurate to describe it as a network of corruption involving military and political officials who profit from collaborating with drug traffickers. This suggests that the problem is more systemic and deeply entrenched than simply one powerful individual. So, what are your thoughts? Is the U.S. justified in labeling Cartel de los Soles a terrorist organization, or is this an overreach motivated by political and economic interests? Is this move likely to curb drug trafficking and corruption, or will it further destabilize Venezuela and potentially lead to unintended consequences? Let's discuss in the comments below.